if the use of peptides is maintaining good markers across the board, then at this point, I would have a cautious continue.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the podcast with Dave Crosland. I'm Scott McNally, and all of our programming is brought to you by you, the people at Patreon. Guys, we have some Patreon questions today. We are brought to you by evalbloodanalysis.com. If you're in the UK, you can get your labs done by Dave. Check them out at evalbloodanalysis.com. Locations all around England. We're brought to you by Strom Sports Nutrition. You can get some great health stacks, especially if you're on cycle. Check them out, both in the UK and the US now. We're brought to you by supplementsource.ca for Canadians. They have great deals that change week to week on short dated and label change products, stuff like that. And last but not least, of course, TrueNutrition.com, the first company to sponsor all of our programming. Use our code THINK over there to get 10% off high quality protein powders, all your basic bodybuilding stuff like creatine, intra workout, highly branched cyclic dextrin, and more. Dave, what's going on, man? We got some fun stuff lined up. We got a bunch of listener questions. We've got a main topic. And we have to discuss something. I'll bring it up later. Oh, you do? They look good.
Yeah, thank you.
Look good. Can you see?
Yeah.
How many fingers am I holding up?
2.
Yeah, for those of you on the audio podcast, you know how many fingers I was holding up just now. Yeah. All right. So listen, we got a question on blood, sweat, and gear. Last episode, somebody, and I wanted to turn to you too. That way you don't even have to use your own hands. You got a free hand there. We got a question on blood, sweat, and gear. I want to get your opinion on it too. So the topic was, somebody said, hey, there's an influencer who is promoting the idea of don't come off cycle anymore. There's no need to come off cycle. Just find a dose that you can maintain while keeping your labs in check, and then just stay on year round. I thought, hey, I want to hear what you have to say about that. I thought we could talk about the pros and cons of this. I mean, honestly, man, I'm in some situations, I'm not too far. I don't think this is complete crazy talk. I'm not going to advocate never taking a break, but hey, let me turn it over to you. What do you think, man, of this out the gate?
I've also heard somebody else suggest this, but this was based on things like SLU, GHK, with all the new peptides, the sort of mitochondrial support and that sort of stuff. And it is definitely true that I have seen better blood markers from people using those peptides. The thing that I just really don't know if these better bloods are truly reflecting less health impact, or if these better bloods are somehow almost masked by, or if there's other aspects that we're not seeing yet. Bloods are great for heart health. They show heart risk, or they show contributing factors to heart health, but they don't really show the heart. Echoes show the heart. If you want a more accurate look at your heart, you want an echo. So,
or like I just got my first calcium score done the other day.
Yeah, it helps, but it's still not going to show heart wall thickness. It's not going to show what your ejection rate is, that sort of thing.
No, of course, echo is going to show you that, but it'll show you the exact amount of plaque buildup that you have versus just going off of your cholesterol levels on your lab work,
Yeah, there's that, or an angiogram would give you a visual image of where your plaque buildup is within your arterial network, which is another one. Obviously, the invasive procedures like angiogram are more expensive.
When you say invasive, I don't know what goes into that. Is it?
Well, it's classed as invasive because you're having to put what you're doing is you're tracking a dye through
the
system, and then it will show where there's narrowing because obviously you physically see an image with a dye running through the arterial network.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's much more accurate, but because the calcium score will show the risk of plaque, but it won't show where the fuck it is.
It does. It'll break it down into the 4 segments.
Oh, does it? I thought it did. Yeah. I'm going to pinpoint it exactly, is it?
Yeah. So it'll tell you like what part of the heart it's in. So I have Like,
yes,
for
but I'm on
instance,
about
mine was.
the rest of the arterial network.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yeah, so that's my point. So, though the calcium score will give you an idea of the network around the heart, but it won't give you an idea of the rest of the network. So, you can still have a blood clot somebody else because of plaque buildup, but not necessarily a blood clot that's going to cause a blockage, i.e., a myocardial infarction, i.e., a heart attack. So, there's plaque buildup in the heart system, but there's plaque buildup in the whole arterial network, where an angiogram will show your complete arterial network.
No, I don't want to get too far off from the topic here, but I will add. Tina said the CAC only shows hardened plaque, but not soft plaque. So I'll
Anyway,
throw that in there too. Yeah, back to
yeah,
the
we're
main
going
topic.
off on a tangent. But I'm really not sure how effective at this point the new sort of realm of peptides, the new slew of peptides.
Slew? Did you say
Yeah,
slew of peptides?
I did say slew of peptides. Yes, I'm not sure how long-term effective they are. You know, I mean, we saw a lot of study work on GW. Obviously, there was the cancer scare with GW. Yes, the doses were massively high compared to what people use recreationally.
And
But
I think you're bringing this up because this was the first exercise mimetic that we were really experimenting with, and now SLU being the next one.
Yeah, so has it negated that risk? May very well have done. I don't know. And I think not me personally, because I do about nothing these days, but, you know, the bodybuilders and the user community that is using these compounds is very much the front line of research with it. You know, they very much are these are the guinea pigs. Let's see how it works.
Let me roll you back one more step, though.
Okay.
So we were talking like heart health and tests for the heart. Before that, we were talking about new peptides, minimizing health issues. But before that, the main topic being long-term staying on.
Right. Okay. So
You know,
the reason I've gone down this route is because it seems to be the new peptides that are supporting the idea of long-term usage.
okay, gotcha.
If you remove the new peptides from the equation, no, I don't agree with long-term usage at all. I don't agree with not having downtime. I don't agree with returning to normal. In some format. I'm not saying that normal can't be TRT based, but in some format of letting levels come down, letting stressors move. When you add in the new peptides and new research drugs that are supporting much lower levels of inflammation, etc., then that changes that landscape of being able to stay on. And currently on the surface of it, it does look like your body can cope with much longer periods of exposure with the peptides in play. But what we don't know as yet is where's the cost of this? Is there a cost to these peptides? Are these peptides going to bite us somewhere else? And it's very often the case that there's always a cost associated with anything that provides a benefit. There's always a yin to yang. There's always going to be a negative as well as a positive. At this point, there doesn't appear to be one. I mean, Reta is showing all sorts of positivity all over the place and no real negatives.
Let me ask you this,
stays
though.
like that, but I don't know if it will.
So, when we talk about cycles, we've determined we kind of broke down, TRT, real TRT versus TRT plus versus, actually enhanced versus like super sauced. Now, if I think a lot of the listeners, and it's not everybody, we have people watching the show who have zero experience with gear. We have people watching the show that are IFBB pros. So I think a lot of people that are watching the show are leaning toward lower doses. So what if I were to come to you, Dave, and say, hey, I'm here's what I'm doing. I want to work with you, and here's what I found with gear. I'm running 300 tests and 300 mast, and I've been doing this for the last 6 months. Here's my latest lab work. Everything looks good. Maybe my HDL is down 5 points from where it was 6 months ago, but let's say for whatever reason, I'm able to maintain this at these doses. I'm doing okay. would you have an issue with me staying on
Yes.
those
As it currently
doses?
stands.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
As it currently stands. But I am open to the fact that these new peptides may alter that equation.
So you're thinking like, even though my health is, like, we're not seeing anything on labs telling me that I like, oh man, this is like, you're not melting down. I'm not coming off the rails yet.
Yeah.
You're still saying like, just based off of the fact that it's been that long, you really should take that break.
Unless you're going to do fully comprehensive work in the sense of you're going to get an echo, you're going to check your arterial plaque levels, then yes, I would say time off. If you're going to get those tests done and they all come back positive as well, then I would succumb to the fact that, okay, there's, as far as we can check, there is nothing currently negative.
Okay.
But from what I just anecdotally, experience wise, I've always found that there is an element of almost fatigue builds on long-term exposure, even at 500-600 milligrams. You know, when you start getting into the months, i.e. 5 months, 6 months, 7 months, there always seems to be a long-term issue developing. Not necessarily a health issue, but a responsive issue or a fatigue issue into the body that I find that once you refresh that with a period of lower, their response is better. They are generally performing better. So there's not just the health markers you want to track. It's like, okay, so you're doing, in this argument, your scenario, you're doing 600 milligrams a week total anabolic load, 300 tests, 300 mast.
Yeah.
One, I've very rarely seen someone's HDL survive that without problems. So that's the first one. You know, so there usually is a problem there. But let's say there isn't. Let's say for the case of the argument, there isn't. Are you still progressing?
Yeah.
What's your rate of progression like? Are you seeing continual improvements? If not, then why the fuck are you on the drugs? I had this conversation with a client this morning, and it was like, I want to push the cycle to 16 weeks. And as you know, I prefer shorter cycles, like 12. Well, actually, they said they want to push it a lot longer. And I said, look, I'm happy to go to 16 week, but on the caveat that if we're not seeing progress, we nip it in the bud. Because what is the point of staying on the drugs if we're not seeing progress? The idea of taking the drugs is for progress. And the problem we have now very strongly developing within the user community is usage for the sake of it. I'm staying on. Why? Because I want to. Because I feel it's going to benefit me. But is it benefiting you? Are you assessing that you're getting a benefit from it? Are you assessing that you're improving? If you're not, then I've got to argue, what's the point?
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, man. I think that's a super valid point. And you know what, too, there's an element that I think you're kind of alluding to too, of we've talked about this before, the psychological side of being on. That first 6 to 8 weeks, you're like, oh yeah, I'm on cycle, man. I'm training hard, I'm eating right. But you get 16 weeks into that same cycle, things, you know, you kind of end up there, complacency sets in at some point. I think it's not a bad idea to pull things back, have that clean out phase, if for no other reason, just to kind of mentally reset yourself, even, you know.
I think there's a danger when 600 milligrams becomes the baseline norm.
Yeah.
When you start losing sight that you're on 600 milligrams of gear, and bear in mind, for a lot of people, that's a fucking cycle. You know, for a lot of people, that's a decent cycle. Not everybody, but there's still a lot of people that are that 500, 600, 700 meg total a week cycle stage.
Sure.
So if you get to the point where that becomes normal, then there's potentially the development issue around your relationship with these drugs and how you perceive them. And what you goes back to my old TRT plus argument. You know what I mean? It's not the dosage that's the issue. It's the labeling and the acceptance of that being healthy that I have a problem with. But you know, if blood work is fine, that's one thing. But there's more to, especially to heart tracking, than just blood work. You know, if the use of peptides is maintaining good markers across the board, then at this point, I would have a cautious continue. But I would be very cautious because from my experience and from what we've seen with most things, there always ends up being something of a negative with everything that we do. And it's just a case that we haven't had long enough or enough time to see what that is.
Yeah. And
So
you've heard me voice my thoughts too on the potential sides of SLU that we might not be seeing from, increased reactive oxygen species over an extended time. That's not something that we're going to see side effects in 6 weeks. It may be repeated use, might be 6 years from now that we really start, you're not going to end up catching the C word, after just running SLU for a month.
no, and I mean it's like the stuff like modafinil and
Yes.
blue and everything else. It's like when you start having brain stims, it's very difficult to step back from that higher level of productivity. And they are one class of drugs that I'm really super almost scared of, because I don't know how I will cope having a high level of efficiency to then have to step back to normal. So it's for me. I'm on about the fear is for me personally. I'm not saying there's a fear for everybody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, when you experience ultra efficiency, it is difficult to go back to being normal. But all those compounds do require a period of away from them, especially modafinil, because you get very adaptive to it. So I've always stayed away from them things, and I'm a bit that with this. It's like for me, it's too early days to say, but on the surface of it at the moment, definitely with the peptide support, they will look to see that you could potentially stay on longer than we currently feel is viable. Yes.
All right. Well, listen, we have a bunch of listener questions, and I want to encourage everybody, if you are new to our content, if you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love to have you along. This program comes out every Monday. So if you like this show, you can tune back in every Monday. And we have several bodybuilding podcasts that come out each week. Comment with questions. And you know what? So we obviously record this ahead of time. I do want to say this for the people that are watching on the Think Big Live channel right now as we record this. We always record this show live streaming. Ryan says, wishing a happy Veterans Day to all my fellow veterans and a belated happy birthday to my fellow Marines. Hey, so definitely
So
shout out
is
to
it
everybody out there.
is it Veterans Days in the States today?
Yep, it sure is. So shout out to
So
everybody who has supported us and helped our country, and thank you guys very
because
much for all the work that you've done.
it's Remembrance Day in the UK, which is where we remember our fallen.
It is also Remembrance Day in Canada. Do you guys do like the poppies thing?
Yes.
Okay.
So that was the Flanders Fields. That was the World Wars that started the poppies.
Yes. Yeah, so in Canada, they pay like real strict attention to that, and the little kids like draw pictures and stuff like that, and they'll have like pictures of Flanders Fields and stuff. They actually
We
have a contest for the Legion holds a contest, and they give out prizes like cash prizes to the kids. And Victoria's dad, who's part of the Legion because he's from the RCMP, he's the judge, and so every year he's brought all these kids pictures from Remembrance Day, and that we are the actual Victoria, her dad, and I have been the judges now for the past several years for
so
that contest.
if I bung you a bit of money, can my entry win?
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
Depends on how much money it is.
Okay. We'll talk guns later.
All right.
But yeah, no, it's Remembrance Day here. So we traditionally we have silence at 11 a.m. for 3 minutes, but not everybody adheres to it these days.
Well, you know what, man? It's going to be 11 a.m. here in the U.S. in about 11 minutes. So let's take a moment of silence then. And I'm actually going to set an alarm to go off in 10 minutes. Otherwise, we're going to keep talking and I'm going to totally forget. So I'm setting my alarm right now. I've got a timer going and it is going to go off in 10 minutes. And then we shall remember and we do a moment of silence. I think that'd be nice. But until then, listen, we got a bunch of listener questions, and I do see a couple in the stream too. So let's jump straight to here. Just a nice comment. He said, God bless the both of you. Long time listener, lots of humor in this one, and hope that you guys have many more years. I thought that was very nice. That was a very nice comment. All right. I watched this show because of the personalities. Oh yeah, just another nice comment. Scott does a great job on every show he hosts, but we don't get a character like Dave often on podcasts. I look forward to you guys, and I love the info and the stories.
Is
You got
that?
called a character.
I don't know if that's a positive. That's usually a polite way of saying you're a wanker, isn't it?
Yeah, Dave, he's a character.
Yeah, he's a knobhead.
After 20 years of bodybuilding experience plus coaching countless athletes, I have tried all sorts of protein shakes from thin to thick to gritty to drywall paste consistency. So when I say that I trust True Nutrition, I mean it. In fact, True Nutrition is one of the few companies that I trust. And trust in this industry, well, it's about as common as a bodybuilder passing up the opportunity to talk about his prep.
60 grams of protein is kind of my sweet spot.
Yeah, I see you out there. What makes True Nutrition different? You get to pick your base. I'm a big fan of the whey ISO. You get to pick your flavor. I like the cookie butter lately. You can choose how thick you want it, and you can add boosts. It's basically like the supplement version of Qdoba, minus the chance of getting food poisoning.
Oh my God, my insides are on fire.
Plus, they're also a manufacturer creating a lot of the supplements that you guys are using from other companies. You can cut out the middleman and go straight to the source. No proprietary blend nonsense. They're third-party tested and in-house tested as well. There's no guessing games. It's literally just gains in a bag. If you want protein you can trust, go to truenutrition.com and use our code THINK. After 20 years of bodybuilding, coaching, and mixing some absolute nightmares of protein shakes, believe me when I say this is the good stuff.
Okay. I love D-ball, not just for strength, but
I
for
thought
the
you were
feeling...
making a statement then.
Oh, no, yeah, I do too. D-ball just doesn't love me anymore. Not just for the strength, but for the feeling of well-being that it gives me. I just feel so good on it. And I know exactly what he's talking about, man. What do you think that's from? I've heard some people say it has something to do with the methyl estrogen.
I think
you've heard that, right?
Yeah, I definitely think it's estrogen based. Yeah.
Yeah.
You haven't answered the bloody thing, have you? You just said he loves Debo. What we talking about? What we talking about with this? He loves Debo.
The question was the feeling is that what does that come from?
Ah, the estrogen. Yes.
Okay. All my usual smart assism aside, I have a question. I'm 50 years old. I've been into fitness since I'm 17.
Okay.
So basically, he's asking us to set up a bulk cycle. He said a lot, but he was like, basically, he said 10 years off. He's back. He's using 200 tests, 150 Deca currently. He's asking what should he do for a bulk and then for a cut.
After 10 years off, I would have probably just done a cycle. I mean, he could have been happy to do test and Deca or just test, but I would have probably stuck around anywhere between the 400 and 600 milligram. Maybe push it a little bit higher because of age and aging and the problems that come with that. I.e., it is harder to grow as you get older, irrespective of the drugs being in play. So he's not far off where I would have put him anyway, with them having a 10-year off. But obviously his TRT thing is quite high. So if he's wanting to step up from that, he's probably going to have to pretty much double it. But I don't think that would be a bad little 400 test, 300 Deca. I don't think it would be a bad little bulk cycle. Considering the time he's had off, he should get some decent progress off the back of that.
That'd be huge, yeah. And then take some time to hold that, and then cut it down.
Yeah, and then just swap one for swap the Deca for the Mast, and I don't think you'd be far wrong.
Swap shop?
Yeah, swap shop.
Yeah, I'd be done with something like that. I mean, is he going to do this all at once? Is he going to make this like one cycle?
I would run the break, but I suppose he could do. But he's on about running a longer cycle full stop, isn't he? So I would have thought he was meaning a long bulk followed by a long cut.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know. There's a time pressure here. Is he trying to achieve it by a certain time, certain day?
I bet he's trying to look good for summer.
Or is he just happy to, it takes as long as it takes?
So listen, we're in fall right now, right? It's going to be...
You mean autumn? Yes, we're in autumn.
Okay, you autumn, fall, autumn.
No, you're not falling anywhere, are you? You sat there. You're not falling.
So if you started growing at this moment, let's say you start your cycle today, it's November, close to the beginning of November. You got November, December, January, then take off February, March, and then start kicking ass with your diet in April, in May. If you're not too fat by June, you're looking good. July, you're looking real good, right?
Yeah, that would work.
You can do something like that.
If you're not too fat, you might even be decent by the June. It all depends on where you're
Oh,
from.
yeah.
So, what are the seasons of the year, sir?
There's a joke in Detroit. We have summer and construction. If you ever visited Detroit, you would know, man, because the roads are tore up like 3 months out of winter in construction. That's the joke. That's what we have.
So we have spring, we
Spring,
have
summer,
we have winter, and we have autumn.
winter, fall.
No, there's no falling down anywhere. We have autumn.
Fall. That's when the leaves fall. Fall. When do the leaves fall, Dave?
In autumn.
Fall.
No. And not all leaves fall. What about evergreens then? They don't fall, so your fall doesn't work, does it? No.
Needles.
Autumn.
Needles.
We're not talking about sowing,
Needles don't
Scott.
fall.
I know it's your hobby, but no, there are evergreen trees that do not drop their leaves. So
Needles.
not every
Until they die.
Not every evergreen tree has needles.
No? Is that true? Guys, everybody in the chat, I want you to prove who's right here. Does not every evergreen tree have needles? Let us know. Oh, so you remember we did last week, Dave. They'll look for us. They'll look for us. Are you looking this up now?
I don't trust.
I was gonna
those
let
Yanks.
the audience do it so they could figure it out for us. So last week we did the episode on like cheapest cycles. Are you listening to me now, or are you just taking a break?
I'm listening to you. Cheapest ever cycles, yes.
No, I didn't say ever.
No,
you were thinking evergreen because that's what you were typing.
Yeah, well, you see, there is one that you will never think of.
One what?
One tree that you will never think of.
One tree that I will never think of.
That has green leaves and is evergreen.
Okay. I don't know. What is it?
You don't care, so we'll just move on. So go on. Cheap cycles, yep.
By the way, I don't like our listener here. He's telling us that there are lots of evergreens that don't have needles. I don't agree with you. I don't agree with Dave. I think you're all wrong.
Yeah, Tina said the same as well.
Nope, Tina's wrong too. And she says she's a plant ecologist. It's not. You guys are all wrong, including the plant ecologist. You guys don't know anything. I'm a YouTuber. I know stuff. I say it's fact, so it's fact, right? That's the way.
I had no idea, to be honest. I just fucking blanked it.
So listen, last week we did talk about like best bang per your buck cycles. There was one thing we didn't mention that somebody did bring up: the blends. And I know we're not a big fan of blends, but if you had a good blend,
they do present good value for money. Yes.
Yeah. How often, being an expert witness with the court system, and you seeing that the UK police actually test the gear, how often are blends actually legit?
Not too often, but if you just hang on 2 seconds, I've just got a job in this week.
Oh, really? Related to this?
Yeah, it's a defense job, but there's a load of tested gear.
Ooh.
Let me have a quick look.
Which is crazy, guys. In case you're new to our show, as an expert witness, Dave will testify as to whether like somebody was manufacturing or, whether it was for personal use or for sales, which is a very different. Oh, it's our time. We got 1 minute still. Whether it's for personal use or gear. And if for the court system, the UK police actually test all of the compounds that they get in.
So they're not showing any labels. They're just showing. They've done this right. So This is an oral that has D-bol and oxy in it, so chances are it was supposed to be oxy.
It has D-bol and oxy in it, both.
So chances are it's supposed to be oxy.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, they've done the descriptions, but they've not actually put what it's labelled at. Hang on. Right. Okay. So this was supposed to be. Don't know what the fuck this was supposed to be, but it's Tren. But it's definitely not labelled as Tren. That's labelled as Tren and is Tren. That's labelled as Mass Prop and is Mass Prop. That's Test Sip and is Test Sip. That's Deca and is Deca. That's NPP and is NPP. So this looks fairly solid. That's Deca and is Deca. That's Test Ends, Test Sip. Yeah, they're all right. That's right.
Okay.
T400 only had Test Sip and Test Nth in it, but it's still a blend and it is Test.
Okay.
Primo didn't have Primo in it.
Oh, no kidding. What did it have in it?
An unconfirmed compound.
Oh, okay.
Whatever this is, it's got. Oh, that's probably supposed to be sussed. Okay, that's not bad. Yeah, Winstrol was Winstrol. Oxys were Oxys. D-bol was D-bol. Yeah, that's fine. Anavar was Anavar. So generally, they've come back pretty positive as them.
And so now this is somebody who got arrested. They had a bunch of gear in their possession. The police tested it, and now there's going to be a court hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm sure you can't tell us a ton of the details because this is an active thing going on.
No, I can't.
All right. Well, hey, listen. So we do have a bunch of listener questions still, but it is our time. It's 11 o'clock, Dave.
Okay.
So if we may, we will focus for a moment. We'll take a moment of silence. And what is this moment of silence for?
Is to remember the fallen.
Are you going to be on your computer the whole time while we do the moment of silence? Are you going to be clicking and stuff?
I'm just shutting these down because I've got shitloads of forensic reports open. So it is a moment of silence to remember the fallen in the battles, old battles, I suppose, really.
Okay, when do we start?
No.
All right. We actually did something serious there for a minute. Well, listen, we do have a bunch more listener questions. Let me jump right back into it.
Okay.
What is this guy saying? Love your podcast, man. Listen while lifting sometimes too. Would be fun to get your take on sport-specific cycles. So I said, is there any specific sports that you would want to hear about? And get this, he said, I'm an arm wrestler, so that would be interesting.
So, I actually work with an arm wrestler as well.
Do you really? I've got some stories, but yeah, let's hear what you have to say.
Definitely Deca or MPP has proven useful. We do put a little bit of training coming up to the comp. Low dose. And generally, we've just done stuff like a little bit of Milburone, so a little bit of check drops or halo on the day just to get some initial aggression. But generally, we've kept it fairly simple, and it seems to have worked very well for him.
Okay, is he a big guy?
I'm going to say 120 kilo. I think he's a super heavy.
Okay.
Sort of up that end.
Does he train like a bodybuilder, like full body and everything? No.
In fact, I've suggested to him, though I don't do his training. I don't even really do his drugs. I just help him out. But I've suggested to him, because he's doing a lot of explosive movement stuff. And I said, that's fine, but what happens when you do the snatch and you're not getting anywhere with it and you're sat there trying to ground out? I said, so do some constant tension stuff, do some time and attention stuff. so that you're able to pull from any point in that range, and you've not got all your power coming from one point. And so he started doing some of that because he'd also been having problems with tendonitis as well. So he started doing some of that, and he said it's really helping actually.
I know an arm wrestler in my area, and he is also a bodybuilder, and he has an incredible home gym. Like dude has packed like an entire commercial gym into his basement. Like you can't hardly walk through it. It's like you have to like turn sideways here and then turn sideways there to get through everything. It's a little tiny maze. He probably has, God, it has to be like 25, 30 pieces of equipment. He has a big basement too. I haven't been there. I've just seen pictures of it. And he has a stair mill down there too. Like whole setup, man. But I've talked to him about gear. He doesn't compete in bodybuilding, but oh my God, dude, you would think he did because he runs a lot. Like we're talking and talking to him and a couple other guys. I hear that there are some arm wrestlers out there that really hammer the gear.
No, I can believe it. I think it's probably a sport where education around gear isn't particularly high level.
Yeah.
So I would have thought they've not got a lot of resources internally.
Yeah. We had a lot of off-topic stuff in the comments this week. A lot of people were having fun with it. 500 tests, 350 mast, 300 Deca a week right now. Is this a good or bad cycle? Opinions or ratio changes appreciated. Thinking about throwing in 20 to 40 D-ball 4 or 5 weeks on training days only.
I probably wouldn't bother with the Debo. You're a bit estrogen heavy as it is. But I haven't said whether you're running any sort of estrogen management on top of the mast. But I would have thought you would need something from those ratios. But I don't mind the ratio. I think the ratios are fine. I don't have an issue with the ratios, but you might need a little bit more estrogen management. Don't see an issue with running an oral at the end, but I'd probably go another route rather than Debo.
Yeah. What would you go with then?
T or Oxy?
D-ball?
T-ball or Oxy, I think would be where I'd sit.
Okay. Huh. Yeah. So, I mean, what was he using there? It was
550
tests,
300 mass, 300 Deca.
Yeah, 500 tests, 350 mass,
sorry,
300 Deca.
Yeah.
So same difference basically, right? So he doesn't have anything in there that's actually going to reduce the conversion of estrogen.
No.
Though the mass may have, as you've pointed out many times, a serum-like effect.
Mm-hmm.
So he may at this point not be experiencing issues, but hey,
add
that yeah, right?
Yeah.
Is Deca a weak trend?
Is Deca a weak trend?
That's what powerlifting with Grandpa Charlie asked us.
No.
I mean, they're the same family, right?
They are, but the Nandrolone family is very unique in that the compounds are very individual. So when you look at DHTs, there's quite a core value to DHTs. So Mass, Primo, Anavar, they all have quite a core value. The test drugs do have a little bit more variance because you'll get stuff in test-based drugs that doesn't aromatize, like T-ball. And then you've got EQ, which is sort of a weird drug that's test-based but sort of leans towards a DHT property as well. And then when you get to the Nandrolones, every single fucking drug is just completely different. There are some mild core values like they engage with the PR receptors or the active progestins, but generally speaking, apart from that, you've got Deca converts to estrogen at 20%. You've got Tren doesn't convert to estrogen at all, but increases estrogen receptor sensitivity. And then you've got Ment that converts to estrogen like nothing on this planet. There's just such a wide range of impact from those drugs. And so they are, within themselves, very unique. Whereas the other two branches of the steroid family tree, so the test branch and the DAT branch, do, generally speaking, have some core similarities across the drugs.
You ever hear of a compound they called MHN? I'm gonna look it up. I used it once before.
No, and yes, it's ringing a bell, but I don't know why.
Methylhydroxyandrolone.
Right. So why is it MHN, not MHO? Don't make any sense.
Let me see here. I just brought it up.
No,
Also known as 4-hydroxy-17A methyl 19 nor testosterone.
Fuck me, that's a mouthful.
Orally active, right? Synthetic, orally active anabolic androgenic steroid derived from Nandrolone, which was never marketed. It was first described in 1964 and was studied in the treatment of breast cancer, but was not introduced for clinical use. It reemerged in 2004 when it started being sold on the internet as a dietary supplement. Okay. It is now considered a controlled substance in the United States as of January 20th, 2005.
Yeah, but
non-aromatizing.
Reshuffle they did in 2005 where they picked up on Superdrol and everything else.
Yeah, non-aromatizing due to the presence of the hydroxy group at the carbon 4 position, and for that reason poses no risk to estrogenic side effects like gynecomastia at any dose, unlike many other AAS. You know what I remember from it? It had a Winstrol-like effect. Believe it or not.
Okay.
It had like a hardening effect. Yeah.
No, it's not what I've come across. I don't even know if you'd be able. Can you get it? Is it even available these days?
So at the time, this is like 2006 or so, there was a store, a place that had it online, and I had gotten it, and I got like a couple packs of it, and I'd run it. I don't know if it's still available now, but yeah, that was it was like my experimental gear days. It was 2008 to 10 actually, because it was around that same time that I was trying what they called one test sip at the time. We now call it DHB, and I also tried Ment that year too. The same place was like coming out with all the like random weird stuff. I think it's a marketing thing. You know what I mean? Offer these new and different products. All right. We had something in the live stream here I wanted to jump to from Bobby. He said 20 weeks on EQ at 600 to 900 milligrams. Is this common or reckless?
Just EQ?
Well, let's assume he has test in there.
No, I definitely want to be. The biggest concern is going to be estrogen levels, because you could not cope with 20 weeks if that's crashing your estrogen completely.
Yeah.
So my first concern would be estrogen levels, and I would suspect that if you're running 600 to 900 mgs of EQ, you're probably going to need your test at about 1.3 grams. So it starts making it a big cycle. If you're running it on its own, which I do know some people that have done, then you're probably going to struggle way before you hit 20 weeks with crashed estrogen and problems there. I mean, it wasn't that long ago we used to say, unless you're running 600 mg of EQ, don't bother running it. But obviously opinions have changed massively since then, as we've come to understand it. It's weird as well. Don't you find it weird that we will have a drug that will run a certain way for literally tens of years?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we find something about it and it just completely transforms what we do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So like we didn't know back when I was running a lot of EQ, we didn't know what we know about it now with estrogen control, but it turned out that was probably part of what benefited me, that I had like, you know what I mean? I just kind of stumbled upon the right ratio for my situation. My estrogen happened to work well. And that's the thing, man, is like before we had the knowledge we have today, it was just a matter of trial and error. I tried high Deca, didn't work for me. I knew to move on, do something else.
No, it's weird, though. For decades, EQ, got to be 600 mg or above.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, we're like, oh, actually, it's a really strong anti-estrogen. Let's only run 200-300 of it.
Yeah. I don't know how we could answer this one. Great show, guys. How big do you think you could have gotten with no PEDs in 10 to 12% lean?
I do know that naturally I achieved what would be 265 pounds.
Okay.
Now, I wasn't shredded, but you could see my abs.
Okay.
So I think potentially I could have been a 240, 250 with time and persistence.
I think, let's see, for me, 40, 50. I think I could have been like a good 165, maybe. Pounds, not kilos.
Yeah, I was 19 stone with abs natural. Not
Were you
full,
really?
Yeah, not full popping, but you could see where they were. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
and I didn't stay there long because I went back on gear. So I think if I'd have been a lifetime natty, I could have probably I think I could have got somewhere between 240 and 260 in reasonable condition.
Okay. I don't know what this is referencing to. Jake just says, I got this Primo the week before the issue started, so I'm confident it's what it says on the tin over what's out at the moment. Listen, I think that we didn't hear about the issue. You know what I mean? Like, just because you heard us, everybody online talking about it, I think it was already an issue.
Yeah, by the time it actually gets to that point, I think it's already been an issue for. I remember a lab having serious problems with PIP, and that
Yeah,
was
with Primo.
yeah,
I remember that. We talked about that, didn't we?
yeah, and that seemed to be the first real world indicator I saw of there being problems. Now,
Yeah.
how long had there been problems before that was very difficult to say because we do tend to take our drugs quite blindly on the most part.
Yeah. Being totally off for a year plus because of fertility, HCG only. When going back on cycle, how would you guys approach it? Straight back to normal. Been doing around 800 milligrams max, or start slow.
I'd start slow. I think you'll be surprised what you can get out of it. I think you'll get good response from 400-500.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. All right. Oh, you know what? Did I send you one on I'm trying to remember
You
everything.
don't send me anything.
I text you stuff. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, abuse.
All right. I have a question for you and David Stanley. If orals give you stomach problems, but the injectable version of the same compound doesn't produce the same stomach issues, the route of administration of the same compound can alter the effects. So, if you reserve the administration of the oral to anal, what would be easier on your stomach? Should we start boofing our orals? It would absorb, wouldn't it?
It would, but you could also go sublingual as well.
It'd be a little easier.
So the issue with orals within the stomach is that they irritate the stomach lining. I don't know then if you start considering the amount we dose with orals.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if rectal dosing would end up irritating the anal passage, which would be a worse scenario if it did.
Yeah.
But other than that,
Also,
in theory, it's fine. Yeah, in theory, it should work fine.
Also, though, I don't know, man, because I've heard of I've heard that the dosing can dramatically change too. Like, there have been stories of girls in college dipping feminine products in alcohol and then inserting that rectally and then getting poisoning from alcohol because it's just so absorbent.
So yeah, well, I would suppose you're bypassing. I mean, the same with sublingual, aren't you? You're bypassing everything to be directly into the bloodstream. So Well, I'll tell you what. Try it. Let us know. Start at 10 milligrams. See how you get on.
Yeah, start low if you do it, man.
Yeah.
All right, currently in my first cycle, using NPP, planning every other day, totaling 150 milligrams per week with with test at 350 milligrams a week. Also, been titrating up test for over a year. The PIP from MPP is pretty bad. Soreness in the injected muscle is 3 to 5 days despite rotating 6 sites. If I wanted to transition to Deca, how would I go about that protocol to change over?
Stop the MPP. Start the Deca. You're overthinking it.
Boom.
Overthinking it massively. I think that's why you've gone to this titration as well. Completely unnecessary. And all you've done is expose yourself to elevated levels for a year, where you're going to have. I would get some blood work, particularly around hemoglobin and around HDL, but particularly around hemoglobin, because a year on above range doses would suspect that you're going to get some blood thickening. I'd also be a little bit nervous around MPP giving you PIP, because that sounds like it's going to be a solvent issue rather than a compound issue. It's not really renowned for being a pippy twat, isn't Deca? So,
did you say a pippy twat?
Yeah, I said a pippy twat, yeah.
That's very British of you.
Thank you. I try to be. Unlike you Yank imposter. Anyway.
What?
What?
Yank imposter? No, I'm an actual Yank. I'm actually from here.
You start talking about fall. It's autumn. And then you can't accept it when you're proven wrong. By your own fellow brethren, you're proven wrong. Anyway.
Yeah, I have no clue about evergreens, by the way, guys. In case you didn't know.
Neither do I. I just
newsflash
blagged it and hoped I'd get away with it.
What was the plant you were the tree you said I'd never guess?
Holly.
Oh, yeah, somebody wrote that in the comments too, holly.
Yeah, holly. You don't think of it as evergreen but it is.
Yeah. There's probably people who are going to be pissed at me that don't really get that we're joking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They'll be like, "Oh, he's so dumb. He really thinks that evergreens are the guy's so stupid. Why is he on a podcast?"
I completely agree with that sentiment personally, but though as long as we don't sort of look at my intellect, because it ain't much bloody better. But yeah, so I would be worried. Well, I would be concerned that the benzyl alcohol or the salt, the benzoate in that NPP is way high, which either means poor brewing knowledge or trying to clean up a dirty product.
Yeah. I'd have to wonder too. MPP doesn't strike me as a compound that's supposed to hurt real bad.
It's usually a piece of piss.
Piece of piss. Another very British thing to say. Oh, Jake said,
"Can you you can't actually have a piece of piss, can you?"
No, you can't. Can you?
Because it's a liquid. So you could never have a piece of it, could you?
Jake, about Jake's Primo, he said, I had asked if I should use the Primo in this coming bulk or save it and get EQ instead. I vote for EQ instead.
I would never put Primo in the bulk, so it's out the window for me.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, you could do some stuff with it, right? Like you could push your total milligrams up higher with Primo, right?
Yeah, I just think, if you're going to use a hammer, use a hammer.
Yeah. By the way, Scott, tell Dave he's awesome, and thanks for the 400 milligrams. I will do 100 milligrams test, 300 oxy. Did you give him 400 milligrams or something?
I've no idea.
I don't know either. He said, thanks for the 400 milligrams. Or maybe he's just, there's no punctuation. Yeah, I don't know. All right.
I'm confused. Unless he's talking about total weekly dosage, which would work at that.
That makes sense. All right, let me see if we have anything else here. Next Drugs Are Tough podcast, I have a question. I've been on legit TRT for a couple years. I've done a cycle of Anavar before, but I have enough test SIP in Deca to run 300 and 300 for 20 weeks. Thinking about running a 15-week cycle, mainly looking for strength and some size. What do you think of this cycle?
I think you could do it lower, but I don't have a particular issue with it. There's nothing wrong with it in that essence. It's just a little bit higher than I would probably run for my first injectable cycle. But other than that, and I mean, I'm only talking 100, 150 milligrams higher than what I'd probably run, you know what I mean? But other than that, yeah, I don't see an issue.
Yeah. You know what? I don't see where it's at now. Somebody had commented in there like, oh, I'd really like to see Scott and Vigorous Steve and Big Paul, Big Paul Barnett from Anabolic Bodybuilding, all do a roundtable on DHB. And I think it's because Steve was saying that looking at 2 research studies, because there's limited research, that DHB would cause inflammation. Paul said that his labs were thrown off like crazy on his DHB cycle. And then I said, I'm not seeing that. So I don't think that if we did a roundtable, you're going to get any other information than the 3 of us saying those 3 things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I find DHB inflammatory for most people.
So here's the thing, Dave. When you say inflammatory, are you saying that you're seeing inflammation markers go up?
Both inflammation markers go up, body stress go up, and site of injection be very inflamed as well.
Okay, so I've seen the site of injection. That said, I want to call you on this. Next time you get somebody on DHB with high inflammation markers, tell me, because I want to know what those levels are.
I don't think we've had anyone through in a very long time on DHB, or if they have, they've been on like microdosing. There's been a bit of a trend towards microdosing DHB for some reason.
Because here's what I've seen. So I've looked at inflammation, liver, and estrogen levels on 3 people now who all use DHB. And then I'm the 4th. And then out of 4 people, I have not seen elevated inflammation markers. I also have not seen elevated liver values beyond what you would expect from any cycle.
Yeah, but me and Steve are right and you're wrong.
So that's basically what you would get, on the round table.
Yeah. No, I mean, you do need a really broad catchment of people before you can start really predicting what these drugs do.
Yeah.
And we've seen with other things where we've thought that something was relatively benign or whatever, and then when enough people have used it, we've gone, oh, actually, no, there's more people having problems with that than I thought there would be. So, yeah, it's hard to say, and I think DHB just isn't that popular that there isn't enough people taking it to get a really fair catchment of it.
I think it's getting hot right now. Maybe it's because I've been talking about it so much, but what I'm thinking is, because every time we've talked about it, there's always somebody who chimes up in the comments. Oh, high inflammation, get your Oh, if you're going to run DHB, you better look at your liver. And I don't. And then I ask these people, and I'm like, oh, did you see high elevated liver values on DHB? And they go, oh no, but I've heard that you can. Every single one of them, dude, except for obviously Paul. But Paul, like, you're entitled to that. Like, that's possible. I'm not going to say that he's making it up. You know what I mean? It's like that was legit his experience. I just don't know if it's as common as like we just are looking at it as being like that's a fact. And I'm going, no, man. I got 4 people that we're not seeing that with labs before, during, and after.
I've seen EQ raise liver values as well. In a fair few people. Not everyone, definitely, but I've seen it definitely pull liver values up. But yeah, it's the thing is as well. Liver values are so transient; they're so flexible. They move so much.
Yeah,
it's hard to rule out other influences as well. So without it being a proper controlled setup, I think it was a bit difficult to say. But yeah,
I've also checked CRP before and then 6 weeks in and seen 0 difference.
I will make a mental note to just keep an eye on anything that's DHB based and see where bloods are.
I would love to build that out more,
right,
and it goes to our listeners too. If anybody at home is willing to get their CRP checked before they start their DHB,
it's not just CRP though, is it? You see, so ferritin will elevate with inflammation as well. Albumin and globulin will elevate with inflammation as well. So there are other markers. You come on, not just
you
CRP.
can get all your labs done, but CRP is a great place to, like, if we're gonna just try to get in and get a additional marker. I think that's a great place to start.
I find CRP moves more with infection than inflammation, whereas ferritin will move very, very freely with inflammation.
Well, you should get your ferritin checked too.
Get everything checked.
Yeah.
And do it at Evo.
Yeah.
So if you're
What
in
if I'm
America,
in the US?
fly over.
Okay.
Don't neglect your health like that. Be health positive. Fly here, get your bloods done, fly back. It will cost you twice as much, but that's not the point, is it? You wanting to look after yourself.
Yeah. Zionic says, I hype every video that allows me to for you guys. Thank you. I don't know where the hype button is still. Do you know about the hype button yet, Dave?
I don't even know how to work YouTube.
No?
No.
Do you know where to click on a video and watch it?
Just about. You have no idea how backward I am when it comes to social media stuff and platforms. Honestly, you haven't got a clue. I am terrible. I can't even on my own Facebook find the link to my page to send people the link from my page.
Oh, Dave. And the joke of that is you're still using Facebook. I mean, I use it too. But
I like Facebook. I know everyone hates on Facebook.
It's for real old people.
I like
Facebook. For real
Facebook.
old people like us.
I'm on TikTok.
That's for the kids, the children.
Yeah, you see, I'm hip and trendy. I'm on TikTok. I don't know how to fucking work that either, but never mind.
Ancient Greeks used cocaine in the first Olympics. Funniest thing I've ever heard today. Definitely not true, but still hilarious. And then somebody commented and said, Dave winding Scott up again, like he did with the haggis.
Cocoa leaves, not cocaine as a refined product, but cocoa leaves were chewed.
Did they?
I'm certain of it. I'll double check.
They were using like weird mushrooms and stuff back then too.
They used stimulants. Yeah, they used lots of stimulants.
Yeah. Somebody else said when we talked about cheap cycles, said if you can't afford to do it right, you shouldn't do it at all. If money's a concern, your priorities are already off. Get off the gear and go to work. LOL.
There's a bit of a point there, isn't there?
A bit of a point, but I feel like you can also, you don't have to be rich to run a cycle. You can still think economically, right?
Yep.
DHB is selling out thanks to you. You should have bought more. I already did 1,500 milligrams. I already did get 1,500 milligrams. It's enough for a cycle. So Russian, why don't you get your ferritin checked, get your CRP checked before you start, get your AST/ALT checked before you start, and then 6 weeks in, get it checked again. Make sure your conditions are all the same hydration, same training status. Like if take 48 hours off training, maybe.
The coca leaf was used by South Americans for thousands of years as a stimulant.
Right.
And though there is no specific mention of it in early documentation around the Olympics, there is thought that it was used as a stimulant very early on. It was actually introduced to the modern scientific community in the 1850s.
So it would make sense then that the Greeks would use it because South America is just so close to Greece, right?
Well, there was a lot of trade back then, wasn't there? That was one of the things that the Greeks did. The Greeks opened a lot of trade routes, particularly to South America.
Did you like my level of sarcasm?
Sarcasm. I'm just ignoring you. I'm just ignoring you because you didn't know that evergreens could have leaves.
So, you know what we do have to talk about again soon?
What?
I was talking to a listener yesterday about Vegas. All right. And shout out to Diego, by the way. And he lives in Vegas. And he said, that's so cool that Dave's into off-roading. He said he would love it here in Vegas. And I said, you know what, man? I've tried to get Dave to come over, but he can't because he's not allowed in our country. He was like, he's not allowed. And I was like, because he's a felon. You knew that, right? Because you're a Patreon subscriber. You're a longtime listener. You saw all the shows, right, Diego? He's like, oh, I didn't realize that. So that tells me that we have to revisit your story again. at
No,
some
no.
point soon.
Yeah.
And there's some fun stuff in there, man. You were telling us about like your Spain part, when you came up against the police when you were a fugitive and they pulled you over. Like that's a good story, man.
With me plastic axe.
Yeah. Yeah, like there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
And there's one other thing I wanted to ask you.
on.
And then that's all the questions we have, guys. But there's all that we have time for. There's one other thing I wanted to ask you. So we were discussing yesterday, Victoria and I, my wife, that techno was invented in Detroit, and then it was Detroit, Berlin, Manchester, and what other city did I say? In England? One other city, 2 cities in northern England. Those were like the 4 capitals of where techno developed. So I texted Dave, and Dave's like back in the 90s, that's where raves began. And what did you do, Dave? What was your job back then?
I used to work security on raves.
On like the illegal rave parties?
We did those because the big thing about those was you kept the police out until they got a warrant because it's private land.
Oh, okay. So you're not, if it's a private party, then you're not in an abandoned warehouse.
Well, the fact that the warehouse is abandoned doesn't matter. The fact is that it's owned by somebody, as long as you have that person's permission. And that's what they were doing. So they were paying either warehouse owners or farmers. They used to pay a lot of farmers to use the fields.
So just a party in the middle of a field, huh?
Basically, and in the early days, you would get, it was all done by text messages and stuff. So you'd get told to meet at a certain service station on the motorway, and then
wait, this is the 90s. There was no text messages.
Yes, there is, and then you'd follow a car.
What? You guys had text in the 90s?
I'm sure there was, wasn't there?
They called them SMS messages early on.
That's what I meant, you spaz.
Yeah. That's text. But I didn't think we had text until like 2000. At least that's when it came around the US, was like 2000.
No, we had mobile phones in the 90s. We were actually getting the early Motorola as the Cityman 101 was around in the 90s.
Okay. We did pagers. Yeah.
No,
anyway, yeah.
Well, there was pages as well, but so you'd get told to meet at a service station. And then you'd get told to follow a car, then you'd go somewhere else and then meet more people, then that followed. And if you stood on the motorway bridges, you could see convoys of cars headed off to raves. And they might spend 2-3 hours going all over the fucking place before they actually turned up at the secret location.
Holy shit.
And basically,
so you just follow the cars. Like I pick up at this BP gas station, but then we've got 9 more stops and I have to keep following you. Okay.
And then you'd turn up at the site and the police turned up, which inevitably they didn't always, but very often they did. It was like, you're not coming in unless you've got a warrant. And obviously they didn't have a warrant for a fucking field, so they had to go away and try and get a way getting in. Okay. But yeah, then they moved into clubs and more organised and more official. And I used to work Rise and Shine at Clacton Pier for years.
What you worked where?
Rise and Shine at Clacton Pier.
What's that?
So Clacton Pier is the pier at Clacton. And there was a club there called Oscars. But they used to do a rave quite frequently, an all-nighter. And they'd use the old roller disco hall as the hardcore room. The Oscars nightclub was the house room. And then they would do German techno on the actual pier. And very often they did it on the waltzer, which was fucking hilarious. But yeah, I used to work the hardcore room all the time.
So that's the kind of music, like hardcore techno.
Hardcore as in hardcore dance. So in those days there was house, which is house as Chicago house, yeah. And then hardcore covered drum and bass and jungle and that sort of stuff.
And that's what you like, right?
Yeah. But I started out working a club called Tutus. Which was between Colchester and Clacton. And in the Essex sort of rave culture, Tutus is legendary as a club. It's a housing
Okay.
estate now. It got flattened years ago. And I worked the door there, and I wasn't really into it. I was an old hip hop guy, so I was into Melly Mel, Grandmaster Flash, and real early hip hop stuff. And
Okay.
I got into it by just being bombarded with it every fucking weekend. But yeah, so Prodigy used to come to Tutus as customers. They used to queue up. Leroy used to queue up.
Okay.
And then they did a very early PA at Tutus when they first released Charlie Says, which didn't get anywhere. And then they re-released it a bit later, and it smashed it. But I remember they were, because I was talking to them, and they were about to go and do their first US tour.
No kidding.
And the manager had told them that they had to be really rock and roll, smash the hotels up and all this sort of stuff. And they weren't comfortable about doing it. They didn't really want to do it. But they came back from that USA tour as a mainstream rave band.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody knows Prodigy.
And then there used to be a guy, what was his name? Chucky's Tunes. He owned a record shop called Chucky's Tunes in London. And Chucky would play any type of music. So he'd play house, he'd play hardcore. The only problem we ever had was finding the fucker, because he was usually off his tits in a toilet somewhere, just sort of smashed out of belief. But he was hilarious. And then the Clacton Pier, where the hardcore room was, so it was a room that was used for the roller disco during the day. There was a little diner at one end of it, and then there was this massive stack of speakers at the other end. And the DJ booth was above you on like a walkway, just at the back of the diner. And I used to sit on a bass bin underneath the DJ booth watching the dance floor. And obviously I was into the music, so I'd sing along with songs I knew and bop around and all the rest of it. And there used to be an MC called Food Junkie, and I remember I'm sat there bopping around singing to myself, and all of a sudden there's this fucking microphone swinging in front of my face. And he was up in the DJ box above me and had loaded the microphone down, try and catch me singing with it. But yeah, it's, people like Rat Pack, I remember them. They were a good laugh. Yeah, I met loads of people. I threw Sunstream out because I didn't know who they were.
Sunstream. I don't even know who that is, but it's that they're like a big name.
They were a dance band, Sunscream, yeah, and I threw them out. The lead singer was a really tall guy, and they turned up, and I wouldn't let them in because they didn't have the necessary stamp on their hand.
Oh, no kidding.
And they were really polite. Went and got the owner, came back with the owner. I got a bollocking for not knowing who they were, and they got let in. But yeah, they were really nice. They were really polite. They were like, not a problem, mate. You know, they didn't try to argue, didn't give it, do you know who I am, bollocks. They just went and got the owner and sorted it out. But yeah, met all sorts of people over the years. Back then was like people like John Please Women was a big DJ in the UK coming up. Groove Rider, Fabio.
So you must have seen all sorts of people that were just like crazy on all sorts of recreational compounds.
Oh yeah, I mean, if people are into their happy hardcore, they'll know a duo called Force and Styles. Now, Paul Hobbs is DJ Force and Darren is Styles. Darren's carried on with his music career. Paul runs a DJ booking agency now, but doesn't do much. He does a bit of gigging now and again.
Yeah.
But I used to knock around with them guys, and I lent them my car for their first PA because they didn't have a car to get all the kit in. So they borrowed mine for the first PA.
Okay.
Now Darren flies all over the world and doing hardcore. But yeah, we used to see all sorts. And I used to dance around the dance floor and also just sort of wander through the crowds. It was they were a good night out. I enjoyed myself.
So we had a lot of raves here back in the 90s, and I had a couple friends that got involved with organizing them, and they also were in charge of selling compounds at the raves. And both of those guys, man, got like, one of them's not with us anymore. He's gone. But they got so like out there, like people who are like using Special K, stuff like that a lot, man. Like they just look like they're just like, 24/7. Like you'd think they were on something and they're not. You know what I'm talking about? That look. People like they're just they became very weird, eccentric people due to their use. And I think that rave culture is such a like underground anti like kind of like counterculture, kind of like bodybuilding is in a way. You know what I mean?
There's guys I know back from then that were dropping E's back then that are still doing it now. You know, most people grow out of this sort of stuff, or you know, families and commitments change their lifestyle. But I know guys that are still going to raves now, still gurning their faces off. There was one lad, I can't remember his name, but he was a hottie, brick carrier for a builder. So he used to run up and down scaffold brick, and I'd see him at the club.
It's a hard job.
And then I'd see him the next day at work, still off his fucking tits, bouncing all over the scaffolding, running around with bricks on his back, absolutely off his face.
God.
But yeah, you used to see all sorts, good and bad. Not a lot of violence, though. Not a lot of violence. Never. Really
No, it's not like a violent kind of crew of people, is it?
The only violence we ever got was when the dickheads would come up from London to get rid of the gear that they couldn't shift because it was garbage. And that was the only time we ever got any problems.
And then what would happen? You got any stories?
They just didn't like getting thrown out for selling drugs. That was all. But it used to get a bit physical. But we did have one. So Clacton Pier, you've got to go over a little bridge to get on Clacton Pier. It's a road. It's actually a road. So the main road, you turn off, there's a road goes down to the pier, there's a little parking space in front of the pier. And the pier entrance wraps round in like a semicircle. So Oscar's was on the right-hand side, and there was an entrance. There was the hardcore room was on the left-hand side, and there was an entrance. But then in the centre is all these glass doors that enter onto the pier. So when we were doing the raves, everyone came through the glass doors and then went whichever way they wanted to go, depending on what music they wanted to listen to.
Okay.
And Millwall turned up one night in a bus because they'd been to a match and decided they're going to stop off on the way back. Now, Millwall were renowned for having grade A football hooligans. They were violent.
Okay.
So the bus has come down.
And that was like in the world of like at that time, football hooligans was still a real big thing,
big
right?
business, yeah. So they've come down. The police have blocked the road at the top, so the bus can't get out. The bus is unloaded, and the police have just left it until we've finished, and then come in and arrested the football hooligans. So we've just ended up fighting like fuck with all these footlookers, with a police sort of barrier watching, waiting for us to finish, and they were just going to pick off what was left and whoever lost.
It sounds like it should be a TV show or something, a movie.
That were a rough night with that. That were a rough night. I worked with a really good team there. They were a really good bunch of lads, Andy lads as well. Really had your back. But yeah, we had some fun.
Ryan said, I used to work as a bouncer at a big bar in the Bay Area. On rave nights, when it was time to clear everyone out, I'd have the DJ plug my old iPod and crank up some death metal. Worked every time.
Yeah, we generally speaking, we didn't get a lot of problems. And if we got problems, it was from people outside of the scene trying to get into it because they just wanted a drink.
Yeah.
We didn't get a huge amount of problems in the club. The main policing of the club was drug dealing. That's what we were doing. We were trying to catch drug dealers.
Oh, no kidding. All right.
There was a group with about 5 or 6 lads. I knew they were dealing. They knew I knew they were dealing. But could I ever fucking catch them with any gear on them? And they would pass it around between themselves, and I would be chasing them all over the club. This went on for years, literally years. Never caught the fuckers once, and it became a bit of a standing joke, you know what I mean? It always became a bit of a daft game. And I met them at a reunion 20 odd years later. And we all went down to the club, and, you know, the Will Summit Dorman were there. A lot of the customers were there, and I recognized them, and I was like, did I ever get close? He says, God, yeah, a couple of times you really did. How we got away with it some nights we didn't know because we thought you'd had us and you never actually quite got it. Even you said you've had his hand on the right person who had it but not found it on them, you know.
Oh, God.
This went on for years, like I say. We're just chasing them around the club every bloody weekend trying to find who was selling the gear. But it became, it was always, the daft thing is it was good-natured. You know what I mean? It became almost a game, you know, and it was like they'd come in and like, right, who's got it tonight? Then, well, you have to find out, won't you? Yeah, trying to
That sounds like that sounds very British to me. That sounds very British to me. They do it different in Detroit.
But yeah, it was. There were some good times. I did have some good times, and I worked with a really good bunch of lads.
Look at that, guys. We heard some stories from Dave that we hadn't heard before. Do you know what ICP is?
No.
It says, Scott, you're also in the heart birth area of the Juggalo / ICP movement. It's a band.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's a band here, and they're pretty crazy, and they're kind of cheesy. They dress up like clowns, but they're kind of like evil clowns, and they're kind of like, oh man. So I don't want to get into it too much, but I can say this, that there's a lot of them that are like really rough people. I've seen a lot of so we've got the home of the birthplace of ICP and of Eminem, and stuff like that. Like that's all kind of in my neck of the woods. There's a certain brand of person from around here, and Kid Rock too. They kind of like, if you can kind of take all those together, it gives this good cross section of the culture here,
and the motor industry, the Detroit,
and the motor industry. Years ago, man, years ago. If you ever get out here, Dave, there are some really cool buildings downtown. I'd love to show you. And in fact, so I think it was General Motors just moved. So they were in Dearborn, Michigan, next door to Detroit, because there was Detroit was such a crap hole for so long. They didn't want to have their world headquarters down there. They just moved into the original Detroit Central train station, which is a skyscraper building that for years was like, it looked like Swiss cheese. You could see right through it because all the windows were all broken out. It was like homeless encampment. Now they've redone the entire building. It has like marble and stuff. You'd love seeing this stuff, man. The history in Detroit is pretty cool. It's not your history, right? You guys have hundreds of years on us, but to see the history of the auto industry right in front of you is kind of cool here. And you do get that here in Detroit.
Yeah, I'd like to go to Detroit. There's loads of places in the States I'd like to go. I just need to put my finger out my house and get my visa sorted.
Get the visa sorted. That was all going back to the beginning of that conversation. That was my main point, that we got to get your visa sorted so you can come on out. Come here. We'll go down to the Arnold Classic together. You will be amazed at how many people in Columbus, Ohio would be happy to see you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate you being here. Leave us questions for the next show. Of course, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Ring the bell and hit the hype button. Reach out to Dave for coaching. You got spots available right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. And of course, go to supplementsource.ca. Get some deals over there for our Canadians. TrueNutrition.com. Use our code THINK to get 10% off. Strom Sports Nutrition for the UK and the US. Great health supplements and great stacks. And of course, thank you to everybody from Patreon. We got through a bunch of Patreon questions today for another episode of Drugs and Stuff. We will see you soon. Thanks, Dave. Bye. Oh, I've got some advice too. Yeah. Don't brush your teeth and then eat blackberries. It's not good.
Flavors it. Same with fizzy pop. I need this fit and I need this adapter, and it just fucking goes on and on and on. But slowly but surely, it's all getting there. So,
one more question for you. What is gas? So you guys sell gas by the liter, right?
Yeah.
How much is a liter of gas right now?
I have no idea.
Like, what's the average though?
Well, I only put in Shell. I won't run anything else. And that's mainly because of the quality of it.
Yeah.
And I only put what would be your premium. I was super unleaded.
I use premium as well in the mini.
Let me see if I can go on the app and see what it's costing.
And it's about what? A liter is 0.6 or 0.26 gallons. So about 4 liters. 3.75, 3778. I would just look it up. I just like gas here, you know, I can tell you it's like $4 or so a gallon for premium. Cost of gas in England. We'll say in Yorkshire.
Yeah, so... All right, hang on. I'll tell you in a second, because for the V-Power, which is the 99 octane...
No, I just mean gas prices in general. I'm not saying like anything special. Like, I'm just wondering what your gas prices are like over there.
Well, I'm just going to tell you.
Oh, okay. I didn't think it was a big equation. I thought you just tell me like, oh, it's about $4 again, you know.
About
that's
1.5 pounds a litre, roughly, for the premium.
So we have two conversions then. One point what? 1.1?
About 1.5, so 1.5 pounds, so £1.50.
Okay, so that's closer to $6 per gallon.
Yeah,
Close, ballpark.
Yeah,
or 6 pounds per gallon, right?
Yeah. No,
And then,
yeah. So it's per litre, 1.5 per litre.
Yeah, so if a gallon is 3.78, I'm just going to round it to 4. So, 3.78 liters, that's closer to $6 or six pounds per gallon. And then what's the conversion from pounds to dollars?
1.3, I think, at the moment.
1.3. So we're talking maybe $6 to $7 per gallon, which we're at for premium, right? We're at, I think, like $4.30.
Yeah, you're probably going to be close. You'll be $7 plus, yeah, for premium.
Yeah, wow. Okay. And then your truck must hold a lot too. Because I used to have a full-size cargo van. Oh my God, dude. Like back in the 90s and early 2000s, I dumped $50, $60 into that thing. And that's when gas was like, a couple dollars a gallon.
Yeah, I think it's about 90 to 100 litre tank.
Okay. So like a 20-gallon tank, something like that.
Is that?
So that's a big tank. It's a big. That's a big trip to the gas station. What's up, Tina? Necrophil. What kind of name is Necrophil, Dave? What kind of listeners do we have?
That's concerning.
Yeah, I know. And he's a Patreon subscriber, which is concerning me more. So is Tina, but Tina is a good human being. I've met her. I know her. Necrophil, I don't know if I want to meet a guy named Necrophil. You know what I'm saying?
About 26 gallons is what it holds.
Adrian, what's up? 26 gallons. Okay. So, hold on a second. I just want to do the math here. 26 times, we'll just call it 7. $182 to fill Dave's truck tank. And then you're going to just put your pedal to the floor. Every time you put your foot to the floor, you spend $6.
No, yeah, easily. I'd probably get about 12, 13 to the gallon.
Oh, yeah. Will it be even worse than that when you put the supercharger or when you put the Pro Charger on it?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
You're just going to be just dumping the gas straight into the engine at that point.
The fuel pumps are capable of 285 litres an hour.
Whew.
Yeah. And at full chat, that's about 1,100, 1,200 horsepower.
We're going to have to get you an oil well, your very own oil well.
The thing is, this is my daily driver as well.
And guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I've been in the car with Dave. Dave is not a conservative driver. He does not take it easy on the roads.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not as bad as Alex. Jesus Christ, take your life in your hands.
When we compare ourselves to others, we can start feeling better about the way we drive. But...
Exactly, because my driving is fine. His is lunatic.
Yeah, he's pretty crazy on the road. All right. We got a topic, guys. You guys got any questions? You're welcome to throw them in the chat. What's up, everybody? Hey, Eric joined us too. I'll bring us in.